So they just zoom in and find the spot.
Anytime you've watched a movie when you were a kid on TV, you were watching some fucked up crop version. And then you watch the real thing and you're like, oh shit, I'd imagine before things went digital and they had the option to shoot in 4:3, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess there's always been film stock that wasn't 16:9.
Yeah.
Alright, 3, 2, action.
You talking to me? I'm talking to you. And this is talking to me, talking to you. And I got the man between two buns, Sandwich Jones. Yeah, I know that's horrible.
I'll take it. But
it made sense to me when I thought of it in my head that instant. I was going to say something more like Sandwich Motherfucking Jones.
Well, you just did.
So I did that too.
So
see, I did both of my ideas, so that's good.
I don't know how to talk loud. I don't know what volume I should be at because I know you're not going to put a fucking limiter on it.
Nah, well, I will. I will later. No. Wherever you're comfortable with, man. I had Josh. He held it like this. Some people say way back here.
That's too much work.
But whatever you're comfortable with. But no, well, piss bud. I'm glad I got you here. In the couch. I had to do one.
It's so weird to be in a podcast because I'm so used to being on my own podcast that I don't know how to feel right now. I'm uncomfortable.
I understand that because we just did Mike and Nick's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was strange too because I was there answering questions and having to.
And over Zoom, which is so much more uncomfortable.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad, honestly.
It's the delay that gets me.
There's a slight delay, but we didn't get it on our side. So the person that's
it's a lot of up.
Yeah, everyone's cutting each other off, trying not to talk, because that kind of audio overcut is just not good. Like me and you talking to each other, you'll probably hear us, but
it's so weird.
Staticky audio over each other just doesn't work.
And then if someone has a bad internet connection, then the whole thing goes to shit.
Yeah, you get a bunch of
yeah. And you hear in our podcast, you'll hear me and Michael go until they come back,
bringing the good old Ohio.
We joked about editing those out, but I just can't see it.
We edit ours. It's a little bit of a pain. I don't take obviously everything out, but just sections that I see just goes on too much.
Too much work.
Yeah, just get it out. It is a lot of work, but it's not too bad. I don't go too far into it. If you go too far in, then it's pointless. But either way.
No, I put the intro on. If someone says something that's inherently we should go back on that, which has happened.
Yeah, you gotta sometimes buffer.
Some things are just too far.
You gotta put the black bar on there.
But otherwise, it's whatever happens, and I don't know. People seem to be okay so far.
Well, that's why I like the format of podcast, because that's kind of what it is for the most part. You just kind of get on here and we just talk about whatever. Mine, I kind of have a little bit of structure right now because I'm bringing in all these people I know stuff about, so I can talk about the stuff that they do. But once I get past that, I think it's going to be a shit show. But that's fine. That's fine.
We've accepted that ours is a meme, and that's why we're making content that's related to being a meme.
I love it too, man. Oh, I love it. I'm going to get to that. I got a video up I'm going to show later. I'm going to talk to you more about the podcast. But first, I just kind of wanted to introduce what you do in a big scope. So, man, you do so much work with cameras, and you work really, really in depth with CGI and fake shit, man. You're real good at making fake stuff.
Faker in hell, that son of a bitch.
I love it, man. But no, you've done so many music videos for so many countless kick-ass bands in Cincinnati. Motel Faces is one. Seeing the Funnies. Is it Avanti? I can't pronounce. Is that the right pronouncement? Yes, them. That video was awesome. You've been at work too. Sunday drives, and we just had Nick on too. I got to shout them out. So you've done so many. How do you get to work and so much and so fast? Because you're not from Cincinnati, are you? You're actually from a little bit down the road, right?
Well, I'm originally from Maysville, Kentucky, but I spent. Before I moved up here officially, I lived in Nashville and different areas down there. Well, I'm saying Nashville as a relative term.
Yeah. Because people know where the fuck Cincinnati.
People know where the fuck Nashville is, so it's easier to just say that. But I'll just say middle of nowhere. And when I moved up here, I'm just obnoxious, and I'm good at being persistent. With Adam, I met Adam through my roommate Chris, and then I met all of you all through going to Sonny's all the time, and I was just kind of like, here's what I do, and you're not going to take no for an answer, and that kind of just kept being my thing, and then I stopped asking people.
They started asking you.
Yeah, and then it kind of, in the past like 3 years, it's just been this nonstop thing, and some people I've known for a really long time. Like, I've known Cameron from Avanti since like high school.
Oh, okay.
And then, well, maybe not like when he was in high school, because I'm fucking older than him. I think. Whatever. Long time. Nonetheless, we played it, like, we sort of played in a band together. He was like out when I was in, and then Avanti started.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stories like that around here.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But it just kind of works out like that. Like, I know one person, I'll get in where I fit in, and then that'll turn into something else, and then it just kind of grew.
Yeah, because, I mean, that's like you said, that's kind of how we met you. Like, you kind of just popped in one day and we're like, hey, who's this guy? And then next thing you know, boom, bang, boom.
I just get in where I fit in, man, and
you fit in real good in this little east side spectrum, man, for real. Like,
I'd never fit in anywhere else until now, so I'm just using it for what I can, and having good times with pals. And
when you're doing a good job, man, you're making a lot of really good creative work with these people, because a cool difference I like to recognize between like what we do and what you do is like you're bringing in your creative scope to really center around like with like the music videos, obviously, like people's ideas, and you scope that into a great storyline and a cinematic tale. That's really cool, and that's different from us because we just plan on our own shit. You know what I mean? We don't have time for anybody else. So, but it's cool what you do. That you do that real good, man. You really tell people's creative stories. Awesome, man. Like,
well, you guys actually like think about these things and like take this time to plan.
We try,
which is, I can't even fucking imagine, to be honest.
It's a lot more work to sit and plan it. We were just talking about that because that's what we used to. We used to be a spurt of the week kind of people, and then we started planning things, and we're getting these urges to like do stuff. We're like, no, we gotta plan. We gotta be on point. 100%.
Well, it's because you all have ideas that are like pretty grandiose that require like budgets and locations and things and people, which I think people are harder to wrangle than places and things. Yeah. Getting people involved and getting them consistently involved is a challenge.
Yeah, you got to get people when they're excited.
Which is, that's why I've yet to do any of my short films that I have wrote, because it's just this like, I want it to be right when I do it, and I haven't figured out, like, I got to be able to look at someone and be like, that's who that character is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we've had a similar thing. We've been working more on just trying to like make people look as different as vividly possible, because we work with the same people over and over again. I mean, I've probably looked, how many people do you think I've looked like, Caden? You'd say about 6 different people, right? Yeah, that's stretching it, but I could slip the CIA.
It's a strange platform because it's like you're all not doing skits.
No,
don't fucking call them skits.
No, not at all.
They're narrative pieces with. It's kind of like what American Horror Story does. Like, it's the same kind of.
Yeah, it is kind of like that.
Same kind of round of actors and actresses, but with their own thing and then a different narrative. So.
It is. It is a little it is like that, and it's a little different than what most people would go towards. But that's what I like about what you do, man, because you, like, a lot of people have very straightforward ideas, and you're able to bring your skill set in such a sweet, diverse way that, like an example is like you have one with Sunday Drives where you'll do like a old school like California Burn style music video, and then you'll do one where it's like dark and gritty and like fire and green lighting, and it seems like very misty. It's very different styles that you're bringing into a whole spectrum of skill set that you have. And I kind of want to, I got a video show, I got your reel popped up, we'll watch that, kind of get just a little bit of a idea of some of what you do. So you just dropped this for 2020, right?
I guess. I had a few hours of free time and I needed to put something together.
Dude, it's perfect. And so and you made everything in this?
The little like transition reels like that are from a pack.
Yeah, okay.
But everything else is.
So like that, did you?
Yeah, that's all 3D.
Yeah. So I think I actually have that short film pulled up, that little sweet automated short film. So yeah, so you do everything from like weddings to the music videos to you want to do cinematic pieces too, as you said. So what other kind of things do you offer, man? Like
I don't know. It's just
anything to do with the camera, right? Basically.
For starters.
Yeah, and like you said, you do graphics and too.
I think it's just I think like with any creative, you just got to have the ability to know when something is a product that you can do and give it value, or you're just taking someone's money just to take their money.
Yeah.
So I've always, when someone, pitches something, I always just try to figure out the best way for me to handle that. And if I can't, then I'm not going to take it. So with all of these projects that I've been doing, it's been like, hell yeah, I could definitely do that.
Yeah.
I've been lucky as hell.
No one's throwing you anything too crazy over top that you couldn't feel like you couldn't accomplish at the time.
So far.
Because like this video you did with our boy Starless, we just had them on. You really dug out the green screen effects for it, as you can see here, and it just blows my mind of what you really can do with like a background and lighting. And
that video tried to kill me.
Did it take your soul almost?
See, the thing is like when we did that video, I had just like quit. I had resigned from all these companies and I was going through all this shit with that, and it was time to do that video. And we did it. And it took it's the longest I've ever worked on a video. It was like over a month and a half.
Oh, I love it. I was talking to Dylan too about it. I'm like, man, I bet you got like so much like crazy lore behind it, because Dylan's one of them guys, like once you give him some sort of fantasy idea, he'll create an entire background story to it. And so I could just imagine what you could do with all
of those
that.
Concepts were, that's probably the only video I've ever really worked super hard on planning.
Yeah.
And even then, it was far less than what most people are doing. But it was like we had a vision for it. I definitely can't take credit for any of these projects other than just, my ability to see them through.
Yeah.
Everybody has great ideas.
And that's the main, I think purpose for somebody that is, because you're directing these people when you don't have a person what you're telling people to do. You have a camera and it's you speaking behind the camera, so you're directing these people how to accomplish that creative image and goal. And
it's just about having the trust. If everybody can trust that you know what the hell you're talking about, and they can see sort of what you're trying to go for. Whether that requires a little bit of bargaining on both ends, that's fine. That's part of it. And it's just finding a balance and not being afraid to speak up. I did a video last weekend, which is a great example of bargaining, because we ran out of time scheduling wise to get the entire narrative, which is fair because it was fucking ambitious. But what worked out of that was at the end of the day, we were kind of like, well, we can just go shoot this pickup, or like we can kind of just shoehorn it together. And I was like, I just don't think that's the way. So what we ended up working out was making a 2-parter of a video. So the second music video that comes out will be tied to that.
Okay.
And so we can propel the story that way, because it's a fucking awesome idea. And I was like, why waste a good idea? And it was like, I had to explain, like, this is not me like copying out and picking my shit up and going home. This is actually me saying I want more pain and anguish, and we can make this. Yeah, we can make this into a 2-parter, which some people would be like, "Oh, you just upsold them." No, we already had other videos planned. It wasn't like I had to sell them on anything. They were there and there for the long haul. There. So, that's what the fuck is that?
Oh, it's just I think it's that light. That light likes to
It's the
act
strangest stuff. I kept hearing it.
Yeah, it likes to act up sometimes.
Don't cut this out.
We'll keep it. I gotta explain that there's no light back there no more now.
Perfect. Little ASMR.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But so like that's just a little showcase of some of your work, and dude, like I said, you do so much, and I'm assuming you have a lot of projects coming up. Most you probably can't talk about too much, but
I don't actually.
Really?
I have April is when wedding season starts for me.
Yeah. Yep.
I have a video that's sort of in talks, and I'm actually talking to Josh about doing a bit part in it.
Oh yeah.
And then just some other things that are not fully fleshed out. So generally speaking, it's pretty casual, but I have a lot of stuff that I'm playing catch up on. So my plan is to get through what I need to get through to finish up some stuff, because I have some commercial work, and hopefully start working on my own shit again, because I've been slacking on that for a year.
Yeah, well, you've been doing the FERDA RIFF podcast though. At least you have been doing that a lot. You've been staying consistent.
Yeah, that thing's perpetual. So.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I like it too. It's really niche, and the metal scene. I love that you just decided to go for something like that. Hey, I love metal music. As a person, saying this as you, I'm gonna get my good buddy, which you guys. I love the way that you guys are going about how
don't say his name.
How you talk. Oh, I'm not going to.
We've got a rolling meme. We don't say his fucking name.
You don't say it. All right.
No one knows.
I don't have anything to call him, but I'll think of a name by the end of this podcast. Tugboat. Ooh, okay. Okay, Tugboat. I like that. So, but you got him along with you, which I don't know what your relation with him is. I don't know him personally, but I like your guys's bond you got going into it. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about, when you're making art with somebody, you gotta be super comfortable to make it the best as possible. And I feel like you guys have a bond like that, especially with the kind of content that you're doing. Obviously, you both love metal. And a big reason why I said, well, piss, bud, at the beginning of this, because you guys, I love the language, man, and it's its own little thing, and it makes it much more different than anything else that people are doing. You hear me, I don't.
Well,
I'm just a goofy guy, but you got these funny commercials that you put out. I've been seeing, and I'm gonna play in a second. But I love it, man. It's you. You're taking a part of you and running with it, and it works. And I've listened to a few of the podcasts, and I like that you're taking this kind of comedic, funny side of you and your personality, and then bringing it to a more real front of real bands and real producers breaking down music, production steps, what kind of gear was used, and all these different ideas and setups that people have in the studio making these records.
Well, with that, the reality is me and Tugboat.
I
looked into that one. Whichever you just pick.
Wide guess will.
Whichever one, man.
I can probably.
You could lean into
sneak in. That's fine.
You could lean in here.
Me and Tugboat have been friends for I'd say over 10 years. We've been in bands together. We've wrote so much music together that no one's ever heard because we just didn't feel like we should put it out. And that's
the best kind.
We've always just been best pals and been through a lot together. And this podcast is, we originally had one before it that was called We Might Be Bad People.
I like that name too.
You're all free to have that name, whoever wants it on the internet. Where we just told stories that were not applicable for the internet. Nothing particularly bad. We're not hurting other people or anything bad.
You're not heathens.
But we're just, yeah, it just wasn't good for the internet. We did one episode and was like, yeah, we shouldn't fucking put this anywhere. Delete it.
This is good practice, but let's delete this, burn it.
This never
destroy
happened.
The hard drive.
Yeah, so this podcast, FERDA RIFF, we started in November, I think.
Yeah, it's about November.
Yeah, something like that. And, we just did it to see if it what it would do and don't really give a shit if it works. And it's just for us really to have fun. And the first guest, we had Jamie King, who produced one of my favorite albums of all time, like period. And who just finished the new Between the Buried and Me album, and it was just like, holy shit. And I messaged him. I've known him for a long time on Facebook, just like indirectly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do you want to be on a podcast, our first guest? And he was like, oh shit, yeah, of course. And I was just like, well, I guess we're doing this podcast now, so let's do it.
Well, that's something I've learned doing booking for stuff like this before, is that, you know, people are more likely to say yes, man. If you're like cool about it and like halfway professional, you're not like talking to them like some
professional.
Yeah, like that's why I said halfway semi.
That's still extreme.
Yeah, it is. As long as you're not coming at them like a 15-year-old kid, you're probably gonna get them in. Well, you can still probably do. It's pretty easy to get.
You don't
people.
know the future guest that we have. We were a little more excited to yeah, there's some fangirling going on, but a lot of people that have signed on to do the podcast were more stoked about the name because they were like, God, I fucking love Letterkenny. So like it just worked. It was like, clearly these are two Midwest idiots and they're not going to like ask us anything that's too touchy that our record label's going to be mad about.
Yeah.
And they're just going to have fun with it. So yeah, I could probably fit that into my schedule because right now is a great time because everybody's at home.
Exactly.
If we were trying to do this last year, we'd be flying all over the fucking place.
Dude, yeah, tell me about that. Fucking, and that's what's really cool about it. Like, you know, you get to get people on that you're a big fan of, and you can kind of fangirl over, you know, because it is this cool thing that you can just kind of, you know, hey, let's just get on a phone call and we'll talk and we'll make, you know, some content and drop it out. Mm-hmm. I love metal, like you said, like me being you. I love metal music. And so I'm going to take this personality of mine, mix it with the metal, and then talk about it on a podcast with a good buddy of mine you've known for 10 years. It's perfect. It's like the perfect little mix of stuff, man. And it's like you said, it's not an overload of work. You do a overload of work on videos and all that stuff. So like you said,
it's about finding a balance.
Exactly. That was my point too, is you got to find this good balance of workload and fun and kind of both. And
I'm also producing Tugboat's album, his solo album too, at the same time.
Nice.
And another person's album. So
yep, I don't want becoming a thin layer stretched out.
It is,
but it's fun. But I'm gonna play this little video of your little advertisement you guys.
I need to get them on YouTube. I'm fucking slacking.
Oh, look at that! We're having trouble. That's fun.
Did you set it to Wumbo?
I did. This is great. Hog Talk. So what's that? I've seen you talking about that more. Hog Talk.
Well, as you know, making a podcast, the problem is that something cool will happen in an episode, but it doesn't come out for a long time because of all these other ones. So we had a conversation with an Australian fella. I won't say who it is because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
Okay, and
nice.
And we were it went from being an hour-long podcast to 4 hours.
Oh.
Because it's just hilarious the whole way through because Australian people, it doesn't matter what they say, they're fucking brilliant. And this guy's one of the funniest people I've ever talked to. And we joked about, I don't know how it happened, but Hog Talk became a thing on that podcast. And of all the things we could have doubled down on as content, we were like, well, we got to run with Hog Talk. That's the only choice. We could do like, oh, this is like this, you know, here's some clips of really awesome, famous musicians talking about things. No, fuck that.
Hog Talk.
Hog Talk. That's what we've got to do. That's our future.
That's the game plan.
If we were going to invest in stocks right now, it'd be fucking Hog Talk.
Get a Hog Talk coin, man.
So we, of course, made a Google Voice number and made it a voicemail for it, and now we're just sneaking it in before anybody's actually heard the reason it was birthed.
I know,
so
that's great.
Perfect.
It's a good thing this podcast ain't coming
up.
up.
Fucking laziest shit ever is what we're doing. I went to Pexel's stock photos, grabbed that photo, put some poop on it, and it was like, that's it.
Dude,
that's a promo.
Yeah, it's good. And like I said, I love how genuine it is too. You just leave and then just drops into the green screen.
Yeah,
I came back.
Yeah, because we were trying to like figure out the best way to exit out because we just did one take.
Yeah.
And then that's why it just cuts to like showing the green screen because we were just being stupid. But at the end of this, you hear me say Hog Talk Hotline because that was the moment I realized we should do that, and we just lose it. I kind of want to get a burner phone and have a fucking Hog Talk Hog.
You did, yeah, you did. Right at the end,
Hotline. Instant, like, oh my god, that's the best idea ever.
And so you released that podcast, or you just released one a few days ago, right? With Chris
Arp. Yeah.
Arp.
The Arp man dude. Who is my guitar idol from since I was young as hell.
That's all. See, there it is again. You
that guy's
be a little fangirl.
That guy's a fucking insane man, and I love him to death. So
you just dropped that one. You do Spotify. You got the whole realm,
all,
right? Yeah, you got them all streaming platforms. Nice.
But everybody's got a podcast. So
everyone's got a podcast, and that's cool. I think that's awesome. Honestly, I really thought that it should have happened years ago. Honestly, it's people have been begging for entertainment that's more available to them. That's like no one's watching TV anymore. People are scrolling on their internet, on their social medias, or they're watching streaming services. So if you're not getting entertained by your streaming service, why not get entertained on Facebook through the things you like, through what your friends are doing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I've always imagined it. Now it's finally happening. I mean, you got a podcast. I got a podcast. Mike and Nick's got a podcast. I get it. Last podcast on Earth.
Who else has podcasts?
Who else? There's some other people. Can you think of anybody?
I know some people that are gonna have a podcast.
Oh, you know people are gonna have a podcast?
Are we gonna tease one? Let's tease one.
Yeah, let's tease one. Who you know?
I don't know if that's set in stone yet.
We got a possibility. I can't run on possibilities.
Nope.
I got dreams, but not possibilities.
We'll see. You'll tell me after.
Yeah, we'll learn after.
I need the tea.
But no, so you do that. You do the podcast. You do the music videos. I think I had one more thing to show. Oh, that's right. I do have one more thing. I got one more thing I want to show. I want to show your CG Blender life.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm definitely nowhere to where. Man, some of these people that are doing this shit is crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, dude, we're all in our own realms of different stuff, but you're a good example for me as a person that I don't do this. I don't know anybody that does this kind of stuff yet besides you. And I mean, dude, it's a very good job, man.
The packaging I made from a couple of different images from Google and then just a random font.
That's awesome.
And then put a little sticker on it.
That's awesome. So so how long did it take to make this?
Like 3 hours.
About 3 hours for the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's cool is with the hallway there, when it looks like really nice and then when it looks really rough, it's essentially the same texture. Well, it's the same geometry, but I'm just changing the textures.
Okay.
So I do a render pass and then I can change the textures and do the second.
Okay. Yeah, and with all rule with CG, I've learned is that shadows and darkness is your best friend. I've learned.
It can be.
Well, yeah.
You gotta. The goal is to try to contain the same lighting principles as what you would do in person.
Yeah.
So you can get like edge lighting and things like that, and just things to build up, but you want to find some balance, but you don't want to clip shadows either.
Yeah. That's where so a big thing I'm into, I like to study is lighting, especially like noir lighting. Like the first, whenever they were kind of creating the spectrum for ISO and shutter speed and all that, when they were figuring that all out, just how they would get light and blow things out in a completely dark room. Well, it would be outside at that point. The first few films outside were completely dark because if you shot in the daytime, it would blow it out and it'd be exposed.
Well, yeah, film being a chemical process, every roll of film is different.
Yeah, it is.
So it becomes a whole challenge. And then, it's the same as when they're talking about restoring films. There was a guy that spent over 15 years of his life or something like that trying to get every copy of the first Star Wars print that went to
What?
theaters so he could collect all these different prints because every theater got a different type of print.
Yeah.
Some would get Kodak, some would get Eastman, et cetera, all of them being varying levels of quality because every time you make a print, you're lowering the quality of said copy.
Wow.
Because, degradation process.
Yeah.
So some theaters would get like super pristine, like Eastman versions, and some people would get like the super hair and dust version. And he went around collecting different copies in hopes of building the ultimate version. And then they would do like a proper digital process. The reality of this is he could only do like so many scenes because it would be millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. That's
And
a
that's
big
kind
project.
of just how that is. But
Yeah,
it looked
transferring.
insane.
Yeah, transferring film to digital, man, like that's especially a big, vast project like that. That would be just a
lot of money.
ridiculous price. And I mean, there's almost no reason to do it, like especially with the amount of things they've done with the Star Wars films.
It's just for the
remaking
bad
them.
shit purists.
Yeah, literally, it's just for the huge fans of Star Wars. The first one themselves, most likely. But I mean, that kind of genre brings people like that in, man.
Yeah, I mean, once you build that kind of lore and intensity around a franchise, you can pretty much get away with whatever you want.
Yeah, that's something I talk to Caden about a lot. I mean, if you nail it, you nail it. If you miss one key aspect, then it ruins the entire thing. And sometimes you can do that within a series of a few movies.
Yeah.
You can add one wrong thing and then ruin the entire lore of the movies. And a lot of people think that with stuff like Star Wars.
It's hot or cold. It's very fickle. You either are or you aren't.
Yeah. Like
So-
like the three examples I give is like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and what's the third one, Caden? I always say a third one. I'm horrible at thirds. I always have two and then I think of the third for 20 minutes.
It's not Transformers.
No, it's not Transformers. I do not think that lore is that good.
They're not the movies, but
No, yeah. I mean, I loved the animation series, dude. As a kid, that was good.
yeah, no, it slapped. The movies are trash.
Yeah, I mean, it just the only thing good about those movies is it introduced me to Shia LaBeouf. I love
Even
Shia
even that's a stretch. But
not
I can
worth
see
it,
how you
but,
could feel
LaBeouf.
you could feel somewhat related to him.
Yeah. But
Yeah, I don't know. And the Lord of the Rings really fucked up when they pissed everybody in New Zealand off.
how they piss off people in New Zealand? They just
It was
lure
a
somebody.
whole thing about the rights of the people working on it. I can't remember the exacts, but it came down to like they didn't want to pay them properly, and the big resolve for that was because the government, they want to keep Lord of the Rings in the country.
Yeah.
They gave them like huge tax breaks and like all kinds of stuff. So the studio made more money, and the people that worked on the movie made essentially less. It got less
Wow.
rights because they were like, well, if you don't want to work it, we'll just bring new people in.
That's a wild exchange.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Oh, I thought of it. Harry Potter. That was the other one.
Was that J.K. Rowling? That woman crazier than hell.
I don't care for her. I don't care. I don't look. That's the thing about me is I don't compare artists to their work. I mean, I can enjoy things like I can enjoy basically anything if it's good art. I won't support the person.
I seen you phase that carefully. You're like,
Yeah. Don't want to get too far in. An example I will give, and this is a pretty treacherous example, but somebody that makes beautiful music was Charles Manson. He makes beautiful music, but is a horrible person, and you can say that. That's
I never
okay.
thought his music was worth a plug fucking nickel, but I guess.
No, I wouldn't have. I mean, it's just good. It's just.
But I'll take that. I think that's a safe one to state.
Yeah.
You notice how I'm not stating shit.
And that's fine. You can,
'Cause,
you know.
in fairness, I have a problem with being able to separate art from artists. So like, if a person's shitty enough, I can cancel their whole catalog
Yeah.
out of my head. I won't go out and fight it. But
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing too, man. If you do what you do and to your own, that's cool. Everyone can think whatever they want. That's what I can make that separation. Some people can't, and sometimes some people do stuff to me that I think personally is so bad that I just get away from it too. But most of the time, it's just really because I think it sucks. That's mostly why. Like, I can say another good reference is Corey Taylor.
I mean, yeah.
Love Slipknot. It's my
I think he's an amazing vocalist, but man, once he became a happy person and like somewhat emotionally stable, he really started to suck.
Yeah, dude, just that recent album, man. I couldn't.
He's doing like country projects and shit now.
Yeah, I just can't listen.
You
to
can't
him,
beat
man.
that happy, Corey Taylor. Stop being so happy because you're really fucking.
I like sad Corey Taylor. Bring sad Corey back in the room.
That man had a dark fucking past, and as soon as he got that least bit of happiness, fuck, it was over. He started being boring as shit. That's why I don't want to get too comfortable like that. I think part of the reason why my brain functions like it does is because every day is feast or famine.
Yeah.
The day you get too comfortable is when you start being too happy. You can't be happy in this life.
I was literally just talking about Danny Daughtry because he's going through some shit. I messaged him, was like, hey man, keep your chin up kind of shit. But I use an example of like, think about it like this, man. When like, say you get in a fight, right? Someone just like tries to fight you. Would you rather want to be in like a safe thought, or would you want to be kind of scared and like let your instincts kind of take over? You probably want your instincts to take over. And
hopefully.
That's kind of a good comparison with what you just said.
I think if you get too comfortable with anything in life, you're gonna start to slack.
Yeah.
Insert example here, but you get the drift. I'm sure everybody can get that.
Yeah, no, I mean as soon as the pressure's let off, I mean you're not trying as hard, and that diminishes anything really that you like, any goals you set up, because you feel like you've already achieved them. And once you feel like you achieved your goals, you relax, and that's when nothing happens. I
definitely worry about that. I was homeless until I moved up here, essentially for many years. And then I came up here and kind of catted around, and then now I have my own house, and it's very weird.
It looks like a beautiful home to do cinematic work in, which I'm assuming you're going to do a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, it's really more of a business choice than a living choice, but
of course.
Yeah, I woke up the other day and I went and like made a hot pocket in the fucking microwave, and it's like built up in there, and it's stainless steel and shit, and I was just like,
this is mine.
I set it down and was just like, this is fucking weird. Like, I didn't have to like sneak past somebody asleep on the couch.
You got like a whole house to decorate instead of just a room.
Oh, I'm still not gonna decorate it, but it sounds like the greatest thing to do. I just won't. It's gonna look half lived in.
Yeah,
that's the plan. That means I can there's less shit to tear off if I need to film in a room. Problem solved.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I used to do in my basement. I'm like, I live here, but I don't. I'm just gonna rip it all up and throw down a cool scene and make up some like poker game or something.
The basement's converted to pretty much all green screen now to some degree.
Yeah.
I installed lights into the ceiling, so I actually have Fresnel lights that point down to the screen.
Perfect.
They're currently in the car because I had to shoot a video the other day, but I bought mounts, you can
just plug them back up.
Like light mounts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're about this long, and they just bolt to whatever, and then you can just put your light on it, tighten it up, and you're ready to go. So I put those everywhere.
Yeah, convenience is key when you're hauling around a bunch of heavy ass equipment.
So like, say I wanted to film like straight down, because I built a table and put green screen over that. Yep. If I wanted to film a table, I could just put my camera on one of those.
Mm-hmm. Oh, straight down?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. We need to start looking into doing stuff like that.
It's great.
We've been talking about doing a lot of
I think it was like $12 for 4 of those.
It's either that or Caden gets his ass on a ladder.
Don't do that. It's not worth it.
No, it's not. Well, yeah.
Those things, yeah, dude. But the only thing I recommend, I'll send you a link to them, but what I recommend is getting better screws. I went and bought better screws.
Yeah, just like
they were,
or something?
I don't know, but they were just wood screws, but they were just beefier than the ones that came with, because I was like, those Fresnel lights are pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And then I got the Octo boxes on them, so those things are pretty heavy too. Mm-hmm. So it's better to just go ahead and get them up there real good and call it a day.
Yeah, and you don't want them up falling because they're expensive.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Yeah. It's an investment. That's for sure. But those, I have the 120 watt Fresnels, and those things, like I ran one on a video not too long ago with an Octo box, and it was like, that was so much coverage that I was like, well, that's all I need. I'm good.
Lights are fun, man. That's something I really took out of filmmaking was like I learned how to really get some lights in and bouncing them off walls. Because like when most people think of lights, they think, oh, hey, you got to point the light directly at people. It's like no, that's not what lighting is. Lighting is layers. There's the backlight, there's the front light, there's the what you're talking about,
Edge lighting.
The edge lighting, which is basically like you highlight their hair and the back of them so they can stick out from the background. Makes it easier in post too if you're using a green screen, so you can cut them out. A little tip for you.
Yeah, if you want to keep hair.
Yep.
And then sometimes you might get something like this, but white. So if you bounced a light from up there onto this, like not super bright, it would be a kick light, so there wouldn't be shadows here.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's wild, man. We've done things like got like just glows and then got a cell phone light and then just stuck it down under and then boom, you got a light to the forefront. Anything's possible, man, with a little bit of creativity and a little bit of gear.
A lot of gear.
Well, fuck, Sandwich. I guess this has been a fun time, man. Thank you for fucking coming out to the podcast.
I guess I had no choice.
You had no choice. We made you. We forced him.
I'm not that far away now, though, and that's not like I'm driving from Eastgate.
We stole his gear and told him we wouldn't give it back if he didn't show up. And here he is.
That wouldn't work. I don't care enough.
Well, thank you anyways for coming out, man. It's been real fun. But this has been Talking to Me, Talking to You. Have a good one.